sipping whiskey from a paper cup. You drown your sorrows till you can't stand up. And take a look at what you've done to yourself. Why don't you put the bottle back on the shelf? Yellow-fingered from your cigarettes. Your hands are shaking while your body sweats. Why don't you look into Jesus? He got the answer.
Morning. Happy Monday. It is another Mission Live. Thank you for joining me here all up and down the West Coast at 9 a.m. and all the other times across the United States and around the world. Thanks for joining us. Hey, we've got a great show today. We have with us, we're going to be talking to our coordinators today, the resident coordinators for the Gospel Rescue Mission. These are the folks that will basically decide and who gets to stay when they apply to stay with us, and then kind of counsels them all the way through in their journey. So that's going to be fun coming up. We've got our no vacancy video coming up, or our vacancy video coming up, which will just talk about how we have room, what do we have room, all that kind of stuff. We will have our book report, our book review, the book review of the month. We will be doing, what else are we doing, Eric? Is there anything else that we got going on that I'm missing? What's happening? Good conversations. We'll be sharing with you the video, the premiere of our video with my good friend and just brother in Christ, James Franklin, and talk about his stay. He's going to talk a little bit about his stay at the mission and all the things that God's done in his life during his stay. So you'll want to stick around. It's going to be a lot of fun. Here's our no vacancy video. Check it out. Did you know that there's been a gospel rescue mission in Grants Pass since 1983? In that time, we've seen lots of changes in the local homeless population, but recent trends have proved to be the most emotionally taxing and frustrating to our community. Among the questions that my coworkers and I receive most frequently, the question of vacancy is always near the top of the list. Does the mission have room, and why? Are the questions we're going to answer next. So do we have space? The short answer is almost always
yes, we have space available.
Over the last 12 years, I've seen times when both our facilities were at maximum capacity. But in the most recent 5 years, we've rarely been above more than 50% occupancy. This means that, yes, we have a tremendous opportunity to offer those who would like to leave homelessness and reintegrate back into society. But if that's the case, then why am I seeing so many homeless in the parks and freeway exits? Isn't this a housing problem, or at least a lack of space problem? How can this be? Well, imagine that you, for whatever reason, wanted to create a class of people who survived entirely on government subsidies. How would you go about it? Maybe start with a group that is already accustomed to accepting them. Increase the size and scope of those subsidies, and at the same time, disincentivize them from the hard work that comes with independence. Frame those who encourage independent living, like me and my staff, as judgmental, cruel, insensitive, and harsh. And finally, remove those societal boundaries that functioned to help encourage behavior that supports community and safety. If we were trying to create a permanent homeless class of people, that would probably be a pretty effective approach, don't you think? Our goal at the Gospel Rescue Mission is completely different. We aim to help the homeless successfully leave homelessness and re-enter society with a sense of belonging and accomplishment. It requires hard work and turning away from those things in life that led to homelessness in the first place. Even with a lower participation rate over the past 5 years, Our mission graduates have contributed well over $35 million back into the local economy simply by being productive citizens. They have truly left homelessness for good. The problem of homelessness isn't about living space. It's about choices and consequences. It takes courage to make the right choices. And if we remind each other that the consequences for making good choices are worth the effort, we will see less people in tents in our city parks, bike paths, and freeway exits. The Gospel Rescue Mission in Grants Pass will help anyone who is determined to become a contributing member of our community. If you or someone you know is ready to live that kind of life, yes, we have space for you. Well, we are back. That is our no vacancy video. First of all, I'm going to tease us all. I'm sitting here drinking out of my Tailholt coffee cup this morning, which is from Tailholt Coffee in Rogue River, Oregon. You're drinking out of your Veterans cup, and you had an options cup, and none of us are using our Mission Live fancy schmancy cups. Now, let me tell you, these we just made these, and they say right on them, homelessness is not meant to be comfortable. It's meant to be left behind. There's the truth right there. And anyways, anybody who's a guest on the show will get a Mission Live coffee cup. So as we're talking about, we just got done watching the no vacancy video, or the vacancy video, however we want to call it. And what's your current, John, in the men's house, how many guys you have? This is, by the way, John, I'm a complete amateur at this. This is John Davis. He's our men's coordinator. Served with the Gospel Rescue Mission now for
a little over 2.5 years.
Okay. And Monica Connolly, she's our women's coordinator. She's relatively new. How long you been here now?
Since September of last year.
Okay.
So 4 months.
Yeah. Okay. And the coordinators their job is to basically decide, kind of screen who is a fit for our program and who is really it's time to check out or whatever. How are they doing in progress? All those kinds of things. You really hold people accountable during their stay. Now let's go back to my other question that I stepped all over myself. How many people do we have in the men's house right now?
Right now, I'm only at half capacity. I've got 37 men.
37 men. Okay, and we can hold 78 beds.
Yes.
78 beds, right? Okay, and then in the women and children's facility, I think we can hold 60. What do we have in there currently?
I have 10 women and I have 2 kids.
Okay, so we've got a lot of space now. I know this, that there's somebody going, yeah, but you religious, hardcore, mean people with all your mean rules, you only let them stay for 30 days in your 30-day program. First of all, is that even true?
No.
No.
Okay. So tell me, maybe, I don't know, you guys can toss a coin. Who wants to tackle, how long can somebody stay at the mission?
Well, as long as it takes for them to become independent.
Okay.
There's no time limit as long as they're showing progress.
Okay, so when you say independent, what do you mean by independent?
Independence is having a steady income that will allow them to be able to live on their own in an apartment or a house that they're able to rent, and leave here with a job and a home.
So essentially just not needing like a charitable handout all the time
Right.
to support their struggle. Okay. So have you had anybody ever like stay less than 30 days?
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yep.
And what happens when somebody stays less than 30 days? Do you like track them down, drag them back in?
No. When they leave, I give them if they leave on their own,
Uh-huh.
I give them a time limit for how long they have to be out before they can come back,
Why would we do that?
so that they can feel the weight of their decision. I mean, they've made the reason they're here is because of poor decisions, and there's not been a lot of real consequence to their decisions, and this is a consequence so that they can learn that they need to think before they act.
So, I mean, are you kind of suggesting that being homeless is a decision in some way, or as a result of decisions?
I believe
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. How, I mean, over the time, you have any idea how many homeless people you've dealt with in your time working here?
so. Hundreds.
Yeah, yeah. And pretty much the same kind of, thing. They all say kind of the same. I mean, they all end up, when you summarize the whole thing by decisions, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a select few that I would say maybe not. Like,
Yeah,
just as an example, the fires.
correct.
That was completely outside of the scope of their control
Right.
that led them to homelessness. But outside of something that extreme,
Yeah.
I would say that homelessness is a direct result of decisions, poor decisions being made over a period of time.
Yeah, yeah.
I can count on less than one hand how many people I've had in here due to mere circumstance rather than the poor decisions that they've made.
Yeah, yeah. Wow. Then, let me ask you this. Why do we call it a 30-day program? I mean, if you don't make them stay 30 days, if they can stay longer than 30 days, why in the world is it called a 30-day program?
So we call it a 30-day program because we're reviewing each case every 30 days. So when you ask to come in, we ask that you commit to 30 days.
Yeah.
Because we've got some stuff we got to work on. And in that 30 days, you've got next step tasks that I assign based on what your need is when you come in. In 30 days, we're going to review that. We're going to look at how you're functioning in the house. Are you getting along with people? Are you showing up when you're supposed to? Are you doing what you're supposed to be doing? And did you do those next steps?
Right.
If you did those next steps, I will approve you for another 30 days, in which case you get another set of next steps that you have to do that next 30 days.
And
And then-
all of these steps are steps in the direction towards independence.
Right.
That's great.
So, and we do that for however long it takes for the person to leave well.
So give me an idea of somebody who's been here for a long time that's currently in our program. How long would you say is a long time for somebody right now in our program?
I have. Do you want me to give names?
No, not names,
Okay.
just
I have
length of time.
I have somebody that's been there currently for. I think I have somebody there for 15 months, and I have another one that's been in there for 18 months.
18 months.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, and each time what you're asking for is every 30 days you're looking for a verifiable progress, right?
Yes.
Okay, so it's not just, hey, I say I'm doing good because I feel really good about my time here. You're asking for measurements, things that you can actually see and measure, right?
Right.
Right.
Yeah. So, the idea that it's a 30-day program, we often get, people use our terms that are useful for us, and they try and put in their own ideas about what that might mean, and then they repackage this in their narrative, and they spin it out into the media or the public or whatever, and they say, oh, well, it's 30 days and 30 days, and I keep hearing, we're really rigid on this 30-day thing. When having invented the 30-day program, and everything, I can tell you what I was thinking in mind was why 30 days, in this, and I think it's because it's the most common regular cycle that all adults have in this sense. We all pay our rent every 30 days. We all pay our bills every 30 days. So somebody is reviewing our progress all the time whether we like it or not, right? I mean, your mortgage payment is getting paid, your car payments, your insurance, and all these things are being done every 30 days. So if there's any magic behind a number, that's the only reason why it's a 30-day thing. I mean, why not 2 weeks or every week or whatever? And you do hold people accountable sometimes on a weekly basis. Sometimes it's just hey, let me just see that you make it through till tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And everything. But that 30-day thing, and that's why, I see so many programs out there that are, they have a 90-day thing or a 1-year thing or however many weeks. And I always ask the question, like, why 90 days? What's the magic of 90 days? And I never really get a satisfactory answer other than kind of well, if we couldn't do it in a year, then we're not going to do it, and everything. And I go, yeah, but some people just come in with problems that require more than a year's time to solve, right? So, that's, I think, kind of the nutshell of the 30-day thing. And, my feeling is that, here's the thing about the 30-day program. And we've got a video that we're going to show that we actually show that I helped develop, years ago, back when I was the men's coordinator, which is why when you see me in the video, I'm so youthful and everything. But the idea was, and it's on our website, and we use it all the time for every new incoming resident to say, what can you expect from a 30-day stay at the Gospel Rescue Mission? So if we can, we've got it queued up. Let's just take a look at the 30-day video. At the Grants Pass Gospel Rescue Mission, one of the ways that we measure progress and the success of our residents is through our 30-day program. Each resident is given a 30-day form on intake. It's a contract that allows them to stay for a maximum of 30 days. Their ability to stay for an additional 30 days depends on their adherence to this contract, which includes 3 major parts: church attendance, behavior and attitude in the house, and a first step contract. So let's take a look at the first part, church attendance. All residents are required to attend community church services every Sunday. After church, each resident brings back a church bulletin along with their 30-day form and has an RA initial their form. After 4 weeks of church attendance, residents will inform the RAs that their 30-day review is coming up, and the RAs will then fill out their portion of the 30-day form. This second part of the 30-day form includes ratings from the RAs and peers based on the behavior of the resident in the house. Did they make it to all the required chapels? Were all their chores completed? What was their attitude like in the house? Were they up on time? Did they cooperate with others and follow the rules? Each of these is assigned a rating from 1 to 10, which serves as a guide for improvement. If staff or RAs need to address an issue with a resident regarding these, they'll be marked down a point on each occurrence. Everybody at the mission is required to do some kind of work in trade for their stay. Mission work can vary from housekeeping to working at the Second Chance thrift store, working in the kitchen, or other duties as assigned. The work assignment portion of the 30-day form is filled out by the resident's worksite manager, who provides a rating for punctuality, work quality, and attitude. Like the ratings from the RAs, this peer feedback plays an important role in determining whether or not a resident is permitted to stay beyond the first 30 days. You'll see a box on the 30-day review stating, "Must maintain a rating of 6 or better." Essentially, if the RAs or staff have to talk to a resident about adhering to the rules for more than 4 times, they'll generally be asked to leave, typically for about 30 days. The final part is the first step contract. This is the list of the basic things we think every resident should have dialed in, meaning they should have applied for the Oregon Health Plan and they should be on the HUD housing waiting list. If necessary, they should have checked into the Veterans Services, and if they have kids, they should be checking in with Head Start right away. We need to know if they have the birth certificate or Social Security card, and there may be a few other things that we add to the list along the way. These are the tasks that we need them to take care of during the first 30 days of their stay with us. On the subsequent 30-day stays, this portion of the form will be called the next step contract. The next step contract is more customized between each resident and the coordinator. This gives them up to 3 or 4 steps that can be accomplished over the next 30 days that help them toward the goal of becoming independent. Progress on these will require third-party verification. So for example, if they are required to open up a bank account, we'll need to see a bank statement. If they're required to go to counseling, then we'll need to see a schedule from the counselor giving that schedule. These steps all lead to independence, and that is really the ultimate goal that we have here at the Mission. It's to help the resident no longer need charity in order to survive. If the resident receives some kind of income, there will be program fees, and of course, there's a UA that they'll have to pass in order to stay. We test for drugs because we need to know that they're doing their part in order to have their stay. Provided that everything is graded well, the resident is demonstrating that they're willing to work toward becoming independent, doing those things that are asked of them, that their peers would say, yes, this person is really making an effort. Then we would grant them an additional 30 days if they request. And so we'll continue to do that with them for as long as they continue to demonstrate that they're making progress. That's the ins and outs of the 30-day stay. That's the ins and outs of the 30-day stay. Look at that young man that was on there. That was awesome. Hey, so we had a pastors' meeting here at the Mission about a week ago, and there were some folks in local politics and stuff that were there, and somebody came up to you, John, and had asked you a question about what's your success rate, and I tend anymore. I've been at this now for a little over 12 years, and I tend to, when people ask me questions, I want to give an answer, but I tend to have a red flag that goes up depending on the question, you know, and what's your success rate is one of those that gives me a red flag. You answered fair. How'd you answer?
I told him that 1 in 4 is basically people who leave here with a job and a steady income and a home.
Yep.
But then I told him, I said, you know, that's one form of success. But you know, if you look at it as only 75% fail, that's bad. They don't fail. Right. Everyone who stays here makes some bit of progress in the time that they stay here, whether it's 2 days or 6 months. Everyone who stays here has improved their life in one form or another.
Yeah, I kind of the reason that I kind of bristle when somebody asks me what's your success rate isn't because I don't think we have great success rates. We have great success rates. It's just I always kind of have to ask the question, well, how do you measure success? How would you? What's the number that's most important to you? Because if you ask me, like, if I say, well, what's your success rate of your warming shelter? And they'll say, well, of all the people that stayed there, they all stayed warm for the night, right? I go, great. We also have 100% success rate on keeping people warm for the night every time they stay here. And we had more people stay here during those 2 nights that your warming shelter was open than you had at the warming shelter. So what are we talking about? Where's the point of measurement that you're interested in? Do you want to know how many people get off of drugs and alcohol during their stay here? And then ask the same question of people in the drug and alcohol treatment programs, that we're so excited about across the state. What's your recidivism rate for, drug and alcohol, your relapse rate for drug and alcohol treatment, at the local treatment places, whether it's Options or On Track or all the other choices, the ARC, all these different programs here in Southern Oregon that are all great programs. And I'm not, trying to say anything critical of them. I'm just going, I think that our success rate at least rivals theirs, at least. I'd say that it's comparable. And a lot of times it's because we work together. It's because no one program does it by themselves. We're not trying to be better than everybody else or anything we are trying to be better than everybody else in a sense, but it's not, I'm not even focusing on everybody else. I'm just trying to do the best job that can be done, right? So tell me about some of the other successes. You could say, okay, yeah, but did you know that 98% of the people that smoke when they come in here quit smoking during their time here?
None of the ladies at the house are smoking. Every single one of them that came in that smoked, they had a quit plan, and all of them have successfully quit smoking.
Yeah, that's great.
All of them.
That's awesome.
That's great. And here's the thing. We are kind of framed somehow by our detractors as if that's a bad thing, like that we're asking people to quit smoking. But if we were in a room full of doctors who are struggling or nurses that are struggling to quit smoking, and we said, hey, we've got a program with 100% success, everybody that has come in and tried our program has quit during the length of time that they were on the program or whatever, everybody would be applauding, right? They'd be going, this is fantastic. What's the magic? The magic is we don't let them smoke.
Right.
We just tell them, you got to stop. It's not appropriate right now for you to be spending money on tobacco. You can't afford to pay your bills, right? And
that being said, we help them with a quit plan.
right.
Yeah, we don't
What's
just
that
tell them. We don't just tell them you got to quit and that's it. We will, we provide them with patches if they choose a patch for their quit plan. We connect them with doctors if they want something prescription, or if they choose cold turkey, we hold them accountable. We test them periodically to make sure that they're not smoking.
Right. So when we say they're quitting and, somebody goes, well, they might be just secretly going out and doing it. Go, no, we've actually got tests for stuff like this and we can test it. And they really quit. Yeah, it's amazing. What are some other success rates, Monica? That might be going on in your house. Tell me some successes that are happening from girls that are coming in off the street.
I have several girls that are working on improving their health. They have some pretty serious health issues.
Okay.
I have other girls that are we've really sat down and hammered out a really great budget for them. And we're using Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University for their budgeting, and they're working on paying down their debt using the snowball method.
Nice.
I have a couple ladies that are doing a parenting class, a Growing Children God's Way parenting class, and they're really working on improving how they communicate with their kids and parenting their children. There's a lot of really great successes.
Man, these are things that are like, when you think about how hard would it be to do that, trying to live out of a tent in the park or out of your car, and
Or even living in a hotel.
Or even living in a hotel, right? How hard would it be? How many people would be wrapping around you to, in your everyday stuff, measuring your everyday comings and goings, and you have somebody, you're not you guys aren't case managers that just see your people for an hour once a week. You guys are there
Every day.
Yeah. Yeah. And a 40-hour-a-week case management, and that's if you don't count all the little texts that you get at night and the phone calls and the emails and all the other things that are going on. It's never ending. And what an amazing testimony that is. We were talking about you mentioned the parenting thing, and goodness, you want to talk about breaking the cycle of homelessness in the lives of children and everything by, a lot of these people that come to us all they have known is government handouts and dependencies for generations. All they have known is begging or some kind of nefarious way of gaining income, and everything. They're coming here and they're learning that they can do it the same way everybody else in society, doing society well, is doing it. We are just now getting around to, we've just had some folks talk about a new program we're going to be starting called Malachi Dads, which is awesome. It's these guys have been teaching these classes for parenting classes for men in prison. And they've been having a huge success, with just helping them understand their role as fathers. And we're going to be bringing that in with some of our guys here who have kids. We're just constantly looking to raise the success rate. So let's say a person leaves here after staying here for 6 months, but they don't leave with a job and a home. Okay, the truth is 1 out of 4 people who walk in the door looking for a place to stay will leave with a job and a home. That's a pretty high amount. And somebody's going to wag their finger at us and say, "But that means 75% of them aren't making it." And you go, "Okay, well, so let's say somebody stays here for 6 months, and they leave due to a relapse, or they leave for some reason other than a job and a home. Maybe they get in a fight with somebody, or whatever. What kinds of things, when you talk about, they may not have left perfectly, but what kinds of successes might they have gotten while they've stayed then? They may have quit smoking. Mm-hmm. What else?
Gotten their birth certificate.
Okay.
Or made some really good progress towards getting their birth certificate. Some people have had, there's been some issues with COVID and stuff, but so birth certificate.
For a lot of them, or probably all of them, that's the longest they've stayed sober since they've started doing whatever substance.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So if they had substance issues when they came in, active substance issues when they came in, there's a 6 months of sobriety there. Even if it ended in their relapse in a sense, or whatever, that's a long stretch to stay sober. Boy, that does a lot for a person's body, getting their mind right and everything. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Give me some other ideas of some successes maybe.
A lot of them in that amount of time have gotten jobs and have paid off or paid down debt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What kinds of debt are we talking about?
Medical, credit card.
Child support.
Yeah. Maybe college tuition,
Mm-hmm.
back college tuition payments. Just simply fines and fees that they owe to the community for bad behavior.
Yeah,
Court fines and fees.
Right.
Yep.
I was thinking about the case against the city of Grants Pass that had gone to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals and everything, and the lady who the thing is named after, the case is named after, she had actually stayed with us at one point in time, and part of the gripe was that it's cruel and unusual in a sense to find somebody when they can't, to find somebody for sleeping in the park when they can't pay back the fines and everything, and it's only sleeping and everything, and well, you and I both know that our problem has nothing to do with people napping in the park, right. Or anything. It's framed as this is people sleeping, and this isn't about people sleeping. This is about the thousands upon thousands of dollars of vandalism that goes on in our parks, the trash buildup that just comes. We had Matt Roberts in here last week talking about dumpster loads of trash along the Bear Creek Greenway that just happens, and they were every week that they were just pulling out, metric tons of trash out along there, and they'll continue to fight this battle. And in the court, we're just talking about sleeping. But in practical reality, this has nothing to do with narcolepsy. This has nothing to do with somebody sleeping and when they take a nap or when they're need to sleep even. These aren't people who are just going out sleeping. These are people who are going out and being predacious on the regular citizenry. And where was I going with all this conversation? We were talking about, lost my train. Successes. We were talking about successes. So when we look at these things, if that lady had stayed with us, if she had been made to stay in the Gospel Rescue Mission, and she's stayed here before, she'd stayed in the Gospel Rescue Mission and been made to follow the rules of the Gospel Rescue Mission, here's what would have happened. She would have gained an income of some kind. And during that time, she would have been able to pay off all of her fines and fees, and she would have ended up saving up enough money to get her own place to where she would no longer be sleeping outside wouldn't be the option. What would be the option is which apartment do you want to rent or which place do you want to stay. So really what we're talking about is a different type of dignity that we're fighting for, right? I mean, a different kind of thing that we're fighting for. What you guys are doing in the day in and day out of the residents here is really life-changing. I mean, just completely changed the trajectory. I mean, our cups, homelessness is not meant to be comfortable. It's meant to be left behind. That's our job, is to help people leave homelessness behind. And you two are really the frontline workers for that, for the Gospel Rescue Mission. I just have a ton of respect for both of you, and I think you do fantastic work. If you think about praying for the Gospel Rescue Mission and really the work of the Gospel Rescue Mission, pray for John and Monica by name.
Please.
You could always use it.
Yeah, because this is where the real wisdom is needed. This is where the real discernment is needed. This is where the real compassion is tested all the time, right? And they say that courage is that virtue that really is the point of testing of every other virtue. So it takes courage to love somebody when they don't give it in return, and when they're being wicked to you and you still need to love them. It takes courage to be patient when somebody is testing your patience, and courage comes in at that point of testing, right? It's that stuff that goes, can I continue to do the right thing? It's always a challenge. You guys do great work. And these guys are the ones that really help catalog all the successes that we have here. And in that sense, every stay is in some ways 100% success. Every stay has its 100% successes. They don't always end the way we want them to, but one of the things that we value here is giving people the dignity of their choices. We say, okay, look, if you have decided that you're going to be homeless, I'm not going to support you. I'm not going to make homelessness comfortable for you, but I'm going to let you, have what comes with being homeless, and that's cold night and a hard ground, and all kinds of other treacherous things that are out there. However, if you choose not to be homeless, I'm going to also honor that choice, and I'm going to help you find that. If there was anything that you wanted to tell, a listening audience this morning, if there's anything that you had on your mind, anything that comes to the top, percolates up to the top? No? All right. Well, then, thank you for your time this morning. We are going to be talking to next is our interview with James Franklin. Now, James is a current resident here at the mission, probably not for much longer. James came to us through when I started working also at the Rock Food Pantry and started interacting with him, and he was homeless for a number of years. He's got a prison background. He's got a long history of a lot of bad choices. And by the time that I met James, boy, he was terrified of this place, terrified of this mission, terrified of me. And now, we're like, little besties, man. We hang out together, and I just love seeing all the good things that the Lord is doing in James's life. So let's just go ahead and transition and talk to James Franklin.
I lived up on Granite Hill. I walked in every day, 3-4 times a day to find my fix, to go to the food pantry downtown to get something to eat. That's just how my life went for about 3 years. Hi, my name's James Franklin, and I'm a current resident of the Gospel Rescue Mission. I became a resident of the Gospel Rescue Mission 22 months ago. I was homeless for 3 years. I lived up on Granite Hill. I walked in every day, 3-4 times a day to find my fix, to go to the food pantry downtown to get something to eat. That's just how my life went for about 3 years. I first heard about the mission through Brian Boteller. He asked me why I was homeless and asked me if I would take a tour of the Gospel Rescue Mission. I said, sure. So me and a couple other guys, we came over and he took us on a tour. I got to go through and see the dorms, see all the bunks, where you got to be able to store all your clothes. And then we went in and we sat down there in the chapel. Being able to have an opportunity to change my life from where I was at to where I'm at now, I would recommend anybody out there, especially this time of season, you don't need to be out there. There's a warm bed in here. This place is very open, It gives you an opportunity for hope, The mission has helped me maintain sobriety. It has helped me maintain a full-time job. It has given me an opportunity to grow and to be a mentor to other residents that are new. Within the last 20 months that I had been at the mission, I've paid off $21,000 in child support. It's been it's an overwhelming feeling. I mean, I looked at it for many years going, I'm never going to achieve this, It's too much, and I'll tell you, that was probably the best blessing day of my life, to know that I became debt-free for the first time in 21 years. I was at work, and I was running the forklift, and my boss come up to me and said, hey, I need to talk to you. I mean, first thing that I thought is, man, what's he gonna tell me now? What did I do? And he pulled me into the office, and there sat another gentleman right there next to my boss's desk, and he introduced him to me. His name was Christian. And the reason why Christian was there was because he had a gift for me, which I didn't know what it was. He was just talking to me, and I was explaining to him some of my testimony. He says, hey, James, let's take a walk. So I says, all right, I got something to show you. I'm like, all right. So we started walking, and I'm like, dude, what are you gonna show me? I got a job to do. I'm kind of getting anxious, and we started talking and got about halfway down the sidewalk to the Rock Food Pantry, and he stopped me and he's like, so do you know why I brought you here? I says, no. He says, well, God brought me here because he wanted me to gift you this car. And I looked at Christian and I said, could you please repeat that? And I just started crying. I was like, thank you. Thank you. I mean, I was appalled. I was speechless. I didn't know what to say. So I just looked at him and I shook his hand. I gave him a great big hug. And he's like, always remember, God gifted you this car. I didn't. Me growing spiritually, it took me a while. I had a hard time believing in a God that I never could see. But as I have grown in the mission in 22 months I have lived here, God has been my savior. He's been my hope. It's been a blessing. If there's anything I can say to anybody, believe in yourself, believe in Jesus Christ, for he does do miracles, because he did a miracle for me. So if I can do this, you can do this.
Let me tell you about James. I mean, he understates how cool his stay is here. I love this guy. We've seen so much growth here. And when you ask about like, what's our success rates? I mean, here's a guy who quit drinking. He had an 18-pack of beer a day drinking habit. He was a smoker, 2-pack a day smoker. He was he had other habits as well. He quit all of these things during his stay here. He's gotten healthy. He's paid down a tremendous amount of back child support. That means that he's taking care of his obligations to society. He's paid down back fines and fees. He stayed here he's been about 22 months, so a little over 2 years. How long can somebody stay in our 30-day program? Well, as long as it takes to get to the place that you need to get to become independent, and he's well on his way. So this is a guy that has spent a lot of years just living in the forest or sleeping on the hard, cold ground, and we've just seen so much success with James, and I just ask you to continue to pray for him. He's one of my buddies, works for me over at the Rock Food Pantry. We work together, and a joy to be around. You can just tell by listening to him talk. And like so many other interviews that we've had here, all these folks, their lives have been changed and made different because of a stay at the Gospel Rescue Mission, and because they took that stay seriously. So, hey, today is our last day of the month where we're talking about my book reviews, my book recommendations, Brian's books. Here we go. The Tragedy of American Compassion by Dr. Marvin Olasky. And I'll tell you, most of us tend to see the issue of homelessness and poverty in America through a lens that's very personalized. It's how has it affected me personally? And so we know somebody who's been homeless, or we've been homeless ourselves. We've struggled with poverty ourselves, and that really has kind of narrowly helped us define what does it mean to be poor. And the truth is that what Dr. Olasky does is he catalogs a broader view, and it's one that I hope that we bring also when we think about homelessness, when we talk about homelessness at the Gospel Rescue Mission, and in Gospel Rescue Missions across the country as well. I mean, we get to work with thousands upon thousands of people who are homeless, who leave homelessness, who make a change, and we fight kind of all of those things that work together to lead towards their poverty and towards their homelessness, and we want to help them out and become independent. The Tragedy of American Compassion by Dr. Olasky, he compiles literally 300 years of work that has worked and work that has not worked, and kind of gives you some, like lays it out and says, you decide what's worked and what hasn't. You decide what has done well and what hasn't. If you really want to broaden your ideas, in fact, if you want to deal with the homeless issue at all in your community, you really need to broaden your horizons about what does it mean to be homeless, and how do we get here? Why in the wealthiest nation in the world are we talking about poverty within our borders, and what could we do about it, and what works and what doesn't, all of that. The Tragedy of American Compassion by Dr. Marvin Olasky is a fantastic read. It will be insightful for you. You will learn. I highly recommend it, and we'll have a link for it right down in the description after the show. So check it out. Next, we're going to do a ministry spotlight. We're going to talk about it is Celebrate Recovery, and talk about a great Christian program that is doing some great work towards getting people out of addiction recovery and those kinds of things. Check out this spotlight.
Hi, my name is Carol Stevens. I am part of the teams for Celebrate Recovery. I help facilitate and make sure Celebrate Recovery is running smoothly. The primary goal of our ministry is to help people with their hurts, habits, hang-ups. It could range from grief to addiction, and our sole purpose is to help people find a foundation and grow in Christ with that foundation. I feel like our ministry meets goals by giving people support in the middle of crisis in their life, giving them step groups, helping them focus on the deep down hurts, habits, hang-ups that are keeping them stuck and not able to move forward in life. Christ is definitely the centerpiece of our ministry. Without God, there wouldn't be a ministry. So I feel like God shows up every Thursday night at Celebrate Recovery and helps people understand that there's freedom in that.
Celebrate Recovery, a great program, and another one of the great things that Christians are doing in our community here in Grants Pass. I guarantee you, wherever you are, you have the Christian community doing great things in your town, and you really should know about that and understand that why your community needs the Christian community and would benefit from having a strong and robust Christian community there working in your community. So some final thoughts here. Let's just wrap this whole thing up. I was thinking today of a passage from Ephesians chapter 4. Ephesians chapter 4 says, "Let the thief no longer steal, but rather let him labor, doing honest work with his own hands, so that he may have something to share with anyone in need." So this is the admonition of the Apostle Paul about how should we live together, how should we work together. And it doesn't say chop off the thief's hands. It doesn't say, remove the thief from the community. But it says, basically get him to stop stealing. And in fact, make him work. And so that as he works, he's contributing to the community that he lives in, so that he also has something to share with anyone in need. The issue that we have to do, we have to take these people that we work with and bring them into this understanding of themselves that they were made to flourish. They were made to be contributors to the community around them. And this is something that is true for the Gospel Rescue Mission, for people all around. As we're working with homeless folks in our community, as we're trying to get them to a place where they no longer need a handout, but where they're contributors to our community because they work in the community, because they are flourishing and they're thriving. So it's a joy for me and my staff whenever we work and we walk through town, we go through a grocery store, we sit at a coffee shop, we eat at a restaurant, whatever, and to see somebody that we knew because they stayed at a Gospel Rescue Mission, and they're coming out excited to see us and going, "Hey, remember me? Remember how I used to be? And now look at me. And they're so proud and they're so excited about the new life that they have. And that is worth everything that we do. That is worth that's a reason why we get up in the morning. We don't get up because we've got a fantastic paycheck necessarily, or because we've got the cushiest offices or any of that kind of stuff. We come to work because we love to see lives change. We love to see God do amazing things through the efforts of people who who just decide that they're not going to be dependent anymore, but that they really want to be and learn to be independent. That's what the Gospel Rescue Mission is all about. That's what we're all about. That's why we do 30-day reviews. That's why we do 30-day stays. That's why we do. That's why we have Vacancy. And if you're somebody up and down anywhere on the West Coast that says, I want a new life, I want something more than what I have, I want to become that person that, like James is there, that has paid off debt, that is now has his own car and his job and is flourishing, well, by golly, we got room for you. Come on up and check with John or Monica, and let's talk about getting your life turned around. Thank you for taking the time to watch another episode of Mission Live. If you can really help us by subscribing, clicking the subscribe button here if you get a chance, and then share us with your friends. Share this episode with your friends if this helps in any way in your discussion about what do we do with homeless people in our community. Also, drop us a note. We love to see your comments. We love to find out what's going on in your community and what's working there. And maybe we'll even highlight somebody who's doing great work in your community. Thank you again. God bless you, and I hope you have a great day.